Okay. So please, can you see my screen? If you can see my screen, just confirm in the chat so that I would know you can see my screen. So we'll continue from where we stopped yesterday. I believe you all know how we got to this particular screen. The screen you're seeing now, I believe you all know how we got there. I believe you can remember the code that we typed that took us to that. That should be IP, not IP, if config. I always mix this up with the Windows command. So I would not like to waste much of your time tonight. So like I explained yesterday, this line 1 where we have ETH0, it simply means it is an Ethernet terminal. Okay, so that means that terminal is an Ethernet. Yes, it's Ifconfig. Okay, so ETHO means that terminal is an Ethernet interface or an Ethernet network interface. And I told you that that up you're seeing simply means the interface is active and ready for communication. Broadcast means the interface supports sending broadcast messages to all devices on the local network. Running indicate that the interface is operational. Okay, and multicast simply means the interface support multicast communication. Okay, and I also said that multicast communication is used mostly in for live like video streaming. Okay, so that's what they're referring to as multicast. Then I told you about MTU, maximum transmission unit. That's the full meaning of MTU. MTU 15 means the largest packet size in byte that can be transmitted through that particular interface. Okay, that's 1500 byte, and this is like a standard for Ethernet. So today let's continue with line 2. I want to be able to explain this if config today before we go into any other thing else. Okay, so ENET, this line 2 start with ENET 192.168.244.128. Okay, then it follows by netmask 255.255.255.0, then broadcast 192.168.244.255. Okay, so this simply means the ENET 192 simply means this is indicating IP version 4 address that is assigned to that interface, right? That indicates the IP address that is assigned to this very interface. Okay, then the netmask defines the network portion of the address, okay, and is also indicating the subnet mask, which in this case is the 192.168.244.0/24. If you remember from our network, I told you that an IP address is divided into two portions. There's a part that tells you what network the IP address belongs to, and there's another part of the IP address that tells you the host, right? So, and this is achieved through subnetting. Okay, so here they just gave us the IP address of the interface and the subnet mask as well. Okay, which indicate that the first 3 octets of this IP address is the network address, and the remaining part is the host address. I believe this is clear. Okay, then we have the last statement there is the broadcast 192.168.244.255. okay, so the broadcast address use this is the broadcast address that is used to communicate with all devices on the subnet. Okay, I believe you guys by now you understand what subnetting is. Okay, so the next line is where we have enet 6 fe80 F47E:500, and then we have something like prefix len 64 scope ID 0 blah blah blah. So that particular line is simply just giving us the IP version 6 address for that this particular interface. Okay, so that is looking at the format, you can tell that this is an IP version 6. Okay, so that's the IP version 6. They gave us the IP version 4, and they've given us the IP version 6 for this interface as well. Then where you have that prefix len 64, that is just the size of the network prefix. This is similar to the subnet marks for IP version 4. Okay, you know, in IP version 4 we have the subnet marks, which was reading that 255.255. So here is on subnet marks is this prefix len 64 copy ID, that's 0/20 stuff that you're seeing there. Okay, so let's scroll down. Let's see what else do we have. But okay, this RX. We have we gotten to RX? Okay, I think there's still another line. This ETA 00 colon 06 0C colon 29 colon F5 colon 24 colon 5F TXQ len 1000. Okay, so I think that is the next thing we're looking at. That ETA, that particular line of code, that number after that ETA represents the MAC address. You know, we talked about IP addresses, MAC address, and port. So that particular number is the MAC address of the network interface. That's 00.0c.29 colon 29 colon F5 colon 24 colon 5F. Okay, so that's the MAC address, and MAC simply means media access control address. Okay, and it is like we said in our last lecture, it is a unique identifier for every devices that is connected to a network. Okay, so this is the MAC address of the network interface. Okay, and like I said before, this operate at the data link layer. Okay, then we have that TXQ length 1000. Okay, so that is the length of the that's the length the transmission, that's the length of the transmission queue. Okay, so that kind of like is what determines how many packets can be queued. Okay, you know, at times if you are using, let me give you an example. At times if you are using your system, if you click a lot of things at the same time, you discover that they will take time and be loading one after the other. So that process is called queuing, right? So they are like on a queue. So they'll open, the first one will open, the second one will open, like that, like that. Just like when you have maybe a queue and at an ATM. So the first person will go withdraw. So this TXQ length 1000 is telling us that we can have a queue of up to 1000 on this interface. Okay, we can have a queue of up to 1000 data or processes on this or packet on this particular interface. So they will queue. Maybe you are sending packet, the packet can queue up to 1000. So they'll be sending one after the other. Hope we are understanding. So the next thing, the next line we're having here is this RX. RX, okay, sorry for the break. RX packet 1, RX packet 1 byte 342, then in bracket 342.0B. So that RX packet 1 byte is just telling us the um, total number of packet received. RX represent like total number of packets received on that interface. Okay, RX error 0, that means there were no error in the packet received, like one of them did not get any error along the way. RX error 0, dropped 0, overrun 0, frame 0. So there was no error along the way when the packet was coming, right? Then TX is when you are transmitting. So TX packet 24 by 3743, open bracket 3.6 kilobyte. Okay, so TX is transmission, the total number of packets that were sent. Okay, then TX error 0, drop 0, overrun 0, carrier. That is telling us that there was no error in any of the packet that was sent. So everything went on smoothly without any errors. Then the last part of the last part here, this LO is the loop back interface. Now, if we were just running this maybe on our Windows CLI command line interface, that is Windows command prompt, what we will be getting might just be this ETHO. That's the Ethernet interface, the Ethernet network interface. But because we are running it on Kali, that's why we are getting this LO, which is the loop back interface, right? Now this interface, this is the loop back interface that is used for communication within the same machine. Okay, this is because we have like another Windows running on another Windows. That's why we're now having like a loop back. So it's like seeing two devices. Okay, that's why we're having a loop back. Okay, so the LO interface, that's loop back interface. This is the loop back interface used for communication within the same machine. Okay, why this interface is showing is because I am using a virtual machine, okay, which is running on my Windows. Assuming I'm just running this particular command on Windows, which, like I told you, on Windows, it will be Ifconfig, not Ifconfig. So if I was running this command on Windows, I would definitely not be getting that loopback. What I will get is just the Ethernet interface. Okay, so that is that about Ifconfig. So let's move to the next item, which is DNS. I think that is what we were trying to do the other day before that update came up. So let me clear this, then we move on. Okay, so in domain name system, just like we saw yesterday, okay, yesterday we did before we got to IP config, we did ping and trace route, right? And I told you that ping, when you run a ping service, what it does is just to tell you if a particular server is reachable. Then the trace route will tell you how your data is going to travel before it gets to that server. Okay, so now DNS domain name system, like I when I was explaining IP addresses and MAC addresses and all of that, I told you that when you enter a website on your browser, the computer does not really understand that all those English you put. Okay, so it has to convert all those information into a machine language so that it can understand better. Okay, so after it has converted that information to machine language and it finished processing it, it will now send it back again to a language that you can read. So that is how you are able to communicate with your machine or your computer from your interface, maybe a browser or whatever application you are using. Okay, so we have something called Nslookup. Okay, now what this Nslookup does is it gives you the IP address that is corresponding to a particular website. Okay, so let's assume you want to know the IP address behind Google. So you just do nslookup dot google.com and you press enter. You hold on for some time and all of this will come up, right? So if you check, you see the information that came up. You see server. The server is 192.168.244.0. Then we have the address below 192.168.244.2 hash 53. Okay. So now that 53 is telling you the port. Okay. Please please confirm on the chat if you can hear me. Let me know we are moving together. Confirm on the chat if you can hear me, you can see me, and you can understand. Do you understand all this rubbish that I'm saying? I'm just blabbing. Okay. It's clear. It's clear. Okay. Okay. So I think that's fine. So let's carry on. Out of the 13 people that are online, only 3 people understand. That's wonderful. Or some people their hand is paining them, they cannot type. No, let's carry on. So, like I was saying, this Nslookup, it gives you information about a particular domain. Okay, you can put any domain on this command, and it will give you information about that domain. Okay, it will give you information about the domain. So the first line we're having here is server, and the server IP address is reading as 192.168.244.2. Okay, so this is the DNS server that your system is configured to use for the query. Okay, and from the look of things, this is a private IP address. Okay, and it is likely a local IP address. I believe we can all differentiate all of this when you see a public IP address and a private IP address. That's a local IP address. Okay, so this IP address is likely from my own router, right? This that IP address you're seeing that is reading server 192 blah blah blah. That's likely from my own local router. Okay, so it is from this IP address that I am communicating with the Google IP address. You know, like I said, the computer does not understand English, so they are communicating IP to IP. You get? So this is my own IP address, and it is communicating on port 53. That's why you're seeing that second line that read address 192.168.244.2 hash 53. That 53 represents the port. We have already discussed IP addresses, MAC addresses, and port. So that 53 represents the port. And from our last lecture, what port 53, what is it used for? Can someone type it on the chat? What is port 53 used for? Someone can just drop it on the chat if you have been following. DNS. So that means you guys are following. Can you hear me now? And can you see the screen? Can you hear me and can you see the screen? Or the screen is still not showing? Okay, I can hear you. Can you see the screen? Inone. Okay, you can only hear. Okay, let me try to share again. Maybe the thing has caught. Let me try to share again. Can you see the screen now? Okay. I think that was maybe the network issues. Okay. So what I was trying to explain is that uh place, that very first two lines that is reading server and address, those two IP addresses, they are basically the same IP address, and those IP addresses are from your own system. That's not coming from anywhere. That's not Google's IP address, please. The IP address of the google.com is the one down. After you have a non-authoritative answer, then you have name. That's the name of the domain that you're searching. They will now give you the IP address of Google. Then you have name again, domain. Then they gave you another IP address, this time around version 6. So they gave you the Google's IP address version 4, and they gave you Google's IP address version 6. Now, for you to be sure that this truly is Google's IP address, you can copy it, Control Shift C to copy from command line interface. You can copy it, go to a browser and paste that IP address. Okay, paste that IP address, and you see Google open. Can you see? So it opens Google website because that IP address corresponds to google.com. Okay, so I don't know if we understand now. Is it clear now? Is it clear? So okay, so now you understand what Nslookup is all about, right? So you can try other website. Let's try another website, not apart from Google. Maybe Nslookup. Which website should we try? Maybe facebook.com. Okay. So now can you see that that server an address. It's still giving us the same thing here it gave us in when we did Nslookup for google.com. Okay, if you look, you see server and address is still the same IP address that came out. Then let's go down to facebook.com. You see it's still the same IP address. The only thing that is changing is the IP address of the domain we are searching. Okay, so you can see from that place where you have non-authoritative answer, you have Facebook canonical name equals star mini blah blah blah. That's like another name for facebook.com. So for us to confirm that this IP address actually corresponds to facebook.com, you can copy it to your browser, paste it, and click enter. Your connection is private. Attacking might be trying to blah blah blah. This one they're just trying to warn me. So you can proceed. Sorry, something went wrong. So this can happen sometimes, but that does not mean that IP address does not correspond to facebook.com. Okay, so I believe you understand the concept. Let me clear my screen. Let's try another website. Maybe nairaland, z.com or .org. Non-authoritative answer. So this is the IP address that corresponds to nairaland. Let's copy it and put it on the browser and see. Direct IP access not allowed. Okay, so they blocked their website from direct IP access so that somebody will not use backdoor and enter. Okay, so most websites they do this. They block the direct accessing the website directly through IP address so that somebody will not use backdoor and enter. But that is how you can get the information for a particular website. You can try different other websites and see if it works. Okay. What is the time now? This is 7:51. Okay, we still have. Okay, it worked on yours, so that's fine. Yeah, great. So that's that about Nslookup. Okay, that's for Nslookup. I think another alternative command that you can use for that, instead of using Nslookup, you can use dig www. I'm not spelling this Google where google.com. Okay, I think this can also give you information about Google website. Okay, so yeah, so it gives you information about Google website, query status, authority flags, the EDNS version flags, blah blah blah. So I think this gives you more information. Okay, so you can also use that command, or you can use dig, that's d-x www.google.com. Okay, so this will give you more information about the Google domain, but the most widely known is that Nslookup. Okay, so we have looked at different commands now. I hope you can you don't have to cram all of this. With time, as you are using them, you get used to it and you know their functions. Okay, all those commands that we have used, all those Ifconfig, we have used Nslookup, we have used ping, we have used traceroute, dig minus x. So let's start looking at the Kali Linux, in general. Let's look at Kali Linux in general, how it really works and some commands. Okay, so let me go back to Windows, then we'll come back here. Let me explain something for us. Let me just minimize this. I don't know if you can still see my desktop. Okay, so normally on your Windows, you have your Windows comes with folders. They are like kind of follow-come folders on your Windows, right? And what are some of these folders? We have the music folder, documents folder. We have a folder called desktop. We have videos folder for videos. We have download. So those are like folders that come with your system, right? Now in your computer, items are usually classified into either a file or a folder. I'll come again. On your computer, items are usually classified into either a file or a folder, right? Now, a file can either be something like a video. So if it is a video, then it is a video file. A file can be something like a text document. If it is a text document, that should be something like that you can open with Microsoft, right? Then we have things like PDF document. A file can be an audio, okay, maybe music or a recording, an audio recording. So we now say that is an audio file. Okay, so I'm just trying to make you understand how stuffs are arranged on your computer. We have files, then we have folder. Now, what is the work of folder? Folder simply helps you arrange your files. You understand? Folder help you arrange your files or even other folders together, like organize them on your computer so that everything will not just be looking clumsy. Just imagine that there were no folders, okay? And all your files are just scattered all over the system. So if you want to look for a particular file, you will not even know where it is. But they made it in such a way that things are easy. There's a folder for videos, there's a folder for audio, there's a folder for documents, there's a folder for so that your files can be organized on your computer. Okay, I don't know if we are following. Why I'm explaining this is because what we are going into now will be similar to all of this. Okay, so folder this thing we're calling folder in Kali is you might likely not be hearing folder, you may be hearing something like directory. Okay, so when we say directory, when you keep hearing directory in Kali, they are referring to maybe a folder. Okay, then for file, it might still be a file. By the way, you'll be seeing files on Kali is different from where you will see files on your Windows. Okay, so let's start with simple command. Let's start with something like who am I? Who am I? Okay, who am I? The response it gave us is Kali. Okay, now this Kali is just like the name of our computer. You know, I told you that Kali is an operating system on its own. It's like having another computer on our Windows computer. So I just asked the Kali, who am I? It told me Kali. Okay, assuming maybe that's because I've not changed the name that came with my Kali. You know, you can actually change this name, maybe put your own personal name, but I just decided to leave it like this. Okay, so another way of also doing this, you can say PWD. PWD simply means print working directory. So it will tell you exactly which directory you are. Okay, I just explained something to you now that in Kali, we might likely be calling folders directory. So this print WD just is telling us that we are in this particular folder called so we're in the root directing us to home and to Kali. Okay, so that is the directory where we are currently, and you can always use the clear to clear your screen. I don't know if I'm confusing you. Let me minimize this. Let's look at something. If I come, let's say, if I come here, okay, can see that drop down. Now, if you look, you'll see some folders that came with my Kali. So you can see desktop. Desktop is this particular environment, this blue screen you're seeing now. That's what they're referring to as the desktop, right? Then we have another folder called document, download, music, pictures, public, template, videos. It's the same thing on your Windows. Now, let me minimize this. When you go to your Windows, let's say, let's enter this PC. If you look up here, you see you have some folders that came with your PC, right? Desktop, document, download, music, pictures, videos, and maybe some other folders that you can create by yourself, not the one that came with your computer. So let's go back to Kali. Now, what makes this Kali different is that most of these things, we might not be opening them directly from the graphical user interface. We'll be opening them from the command line interface. I don't know if we are following. Maybe I'm confusing you. Please type yes if you are following. Yes, let me know that we are together. Okay. So let's carry on. So I've shown you two commands. Who am I? Print working directory. Who am I tells you the name of your directory. That's where you are at the moment. PWD, print working directory, tells you what directory or what folder you are. Okay. So now the next command we're looking at is ls. Now what ls does is it gives us like the list of files or folders that are in the directory where we are. Okay, so let me clear this. Let's do it all over again because I want you to really understand this. So print working directory will tell us where we are, the folder where we are. So we are in the folder CLI. Okay, so now I want to see what are the files and what are the maybe other folders that are inside this particular folder CLI. CLI is like the root folder on your CLI Linux, right? So I just do ls. So it gives me a list of files and folders that are in CLI. So what are some of those folders? We have desktop, music, pictures, public, template, document, download. So all this one that you see that are showing blue, that's like the follow-com folders. Okay, those folders that came with the CLI itself. I did not create them. Okay, then things like all this one that is showing, you can see 2024-08-29 zap report.pdf. That is telling you this is a PDF document. That is a PDF file. Then we have mise.pcap.save. That is telling us that is a pcap file. We have another file here, whatlist.txt. That is telling us that this is a text file. Then we have another folder here, this one that is showing white, desktop that is showing white. It's not even desktop, dextp. Okay, that is a folder that I created on my own, not a follow-com folder. Are we okay? So now let's say I want to open any of this folder. For example, let's say I want to open desktop. What do? I use the command cd. Okay, so cd will, after typing cd, you type the folder that you want to navigate to. So we're navigating to desktop. Please mind you, these things are case sensitive. Then you push slash, then you click enter. So you can see it has navigated to desktop. Now, how do we know we are inside the desktop folder? We can do this by typing print working directory pwd. Can you see? It's now telling us CLI at CLI blah blah desktop instead of that former just CLI that it was telling us before. So now we know that we are inside the folder desktop. So now to check what is inside this folder desktop, we can type what? ls. It will show us the things that are in on our desktop folder. So you can see some things. Google Chrome, that's an application. Sublime Text, that's an application. XFC, blah, 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 screen shooter. Then we have folder 1. That's a folder on the desktop. ABC, that's another folder that is on the desktop. If I minimize this, you can see all of these things. They are here. The screenshot, folder 1, 2024. We have home, ABC, Google, Sublime. Those are those things that you are seeing here, that are listed here, right? So it's showing us everything that is inside this particular directory. And what directory are we in? We are in the desktop directory. Whew, man. Okay, so I think maybe we'll stop here for tonight, or we will look at one or two things. Okay. Let's still look at one command before we go. Then I'll give you some assignment and we'll meet next week and continue. Let's say you want to, on this desktop now, let's say I want to create a file, right? Let's say I want to create a file. I'll use the command cat. Okay, to create a file, you use the command cat. Mind you, I am not creating a folder, I'm creating a file. I already try to give you the difference between what a file is and what a folder is on your computer, so that you don't mix them up when I say directory, when I say file, or when I say folder, when I say file. So what we're trying to create is a file. Okay, so now I'm going to create a text file. Let's say cat. So I'll type the name of the file. What should I name the file itself? Let's say cybersecurity. So what the type of file I'm trying to create is a text file. So I'm going to put the extension .txt. Okay. You know, for video files, most video files might come with the extension .mp4. For audio files, most of them might come with extension of .mp3 or maybe .wave and all of that. Please, you need to understand all of these file extension. It's very important for your own personal knowledge and also for the knowledge of cybersecurity. Also, as a tech person, these are things you should really be familiar with. File extensions, so that when you see a particular file, you know this is the file. This is what they are. It is this type of file. You are not confused. Okay, that's why at times they could send a document to you, and you are unable to open it on your system because you don't know the type of file. So you don't know what type of application can even actually open that file. Okay, so the first thing is for you to know the type of file. Then you will now know what type of application can open that file. So to create a file, just type cat, that's the command. Then you type the name of the file. And to let us know that this is a text file, that's why I'm putting that .txt. I'll press enter. Okay. So they're telling us cat cybersecurity.txt, no such file or directory exists. Okay. Okay, sorry. I think this command is to view the file, not to create. To create is touch. Okay. Sorry about that. Touch cybersecurity. Okay, cybersecurity, I didn't spell it well. Cybersecurity.txt. .txt. Please, to create a file is touch, not cat. Okay. Cat is to display an already created file. So enter. So this worked. So now if we want to see that file, we can use list as ls to view the file. So we created that file on our desktop. So you can see, if you look, you see cybersecurity.txt is listed there. That means that file exists. Let me minimize this and see. If you look at my desktop, my Kali desktop, you see the file is there. Cybersecurity, look at the file here. But for now, that particular file will contain nothing because we have not put anything inside. And how can you prove that it contains nothing? By using that cat. So now let's do cat cybersecurity.txt. So you can see it displays nothing because we have not put anything inside. So I think we'll stop here. Next week we'll continue. I'll show you how you can put something inside this file that we have created. Okay, so we have created a file. Next week I'll show you how you can put something inside, maybe put like a text or let's say even a letter inside this file that we have created, because this is a text file. Maybe you can type a letter and put inside. And I'll also show you how you can create a folder and how you can remove a folder, how you can copy from one folder to another, and all of that. All of that using the CLI, command line interface, right? I told you yesterday, there are two ways you can interact with your system, either using the graphical user interface or the command line interface. And on Kali, you likely mostly will be interacting using the command line interface, and that's what makes you a professional. That's what makes you a guru. Okay, that's what what makes you stand out. Just imagine you are sitting somewhere and with your command line interface, you are opening files just uh, uh, from the command line interface. You are reading the files, or maybe you are sending emails just from your command line interface. And somebody is sitting close to you, they'll be wondering, is this guy okay? They'll not even know what is happening, right?